Okay, the recording started, I think. Okay, so first I just want to make sure that Sandy and Kelly, you're both happy to be recorded for me to submit this as part of my assessment. Yep,
Absolutely.
excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so Sandy, you'll play the role of the husband, John, and Kelly, you'll be playing the role of the wife, Sarah. Okay. So thank you for being here today. So just remembering this is a safe and non-judgmental free space where we'll work together to better understand and navigate some issues that you have both agreed to work on today. How does that feel for you both?
That's good.
Yeah, I'm happy to work on those problems today. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So today's our third session. I know we've made a little bit of progress, but there's been a few issues that crop up that you've both had a chat to me about. And I would like to hear from both of you and get both your perspective about what's happening. However, before we do, I just want to revisit the SUDS. Do you remember the scale that we used to determine the emotion and how emotive a particular topic is?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
remember
here's a
too.
copy. Yeah, here's a copy of it, just giving you the scale there so you can have a look at. It does go from the 0 to the 100. So what we do prefer to work on in our sessions is a particular issue or topic that is emotive, but not so emotive it's going to make it too hard to use it as a bit of a practice, because this is a learning journey that you're going through. So I just want to remind you that this can be, emotionally intense, and that's going to affect how we communicate. So the lower it is on the SUDS, it still needs to be something relevant, but the easier it's going to be for us to practice those solutions. So think back about a disagreement that you've had recently that wasn't too intense. What's something that you think we could work on today?
So I guess we have an ongoing disagreement about chores that I would like to discuss, as he just doesn't help me.
Okay. And John, would you agree that that's something we could perhaps at least have a look at today and work on?
Sure.
Okay, so you somewhat agree that there's a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So if we're just having a look at the SUDS scale, I'll start with you, Sarah, because you raised the issue. On the scale of 0 to 100, how would you rate you feel in that moment where he's not doing the chores?
I would say it's a 50 out of 100.
50? Okay, so that's getting up there. Yeah. John, what would you rate it?
Oh, I'd say like a 30
A
out of
30.
100.
Okay. Okay, well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Sarah, you've rated it a 50, and John, you've rated it as a 30. And, ratings are very personal and they are quite subjective. So this isn't about making a judgment of each other ratings, but it is going to allow us to better understand how we feel and our emotional reactions when there is a particular disagreement. In this case, it is about the chores. And you're going to be able to understand each other more clearly and from each other's perspective as well. So just starting with Sarah, because you've raised the issue, can you tell me a little bit more about a disagreement about chores?
Yeah, so I guess I don't know what to say. He just doesn't help me with the chores. He leaves me to do it all, and I guess it's like he doesn't care.
Well, you just nag me all of the time.
Okay, so I understand. I'm just going to add a little bit of perspective, I guess, from both of those points of view. So thank you for sharing how you feel. So it's definitely clear that it does bring up emotion for you both. I want you both to help you both understand what's happening and both understand each other's perspective and maybe some of the patterns that are occurring in some of our interactions as well. So, Sarah, I think it sounds like you're really overwhelmed and you're feeling really unappreciated because you're taking on the majority of the household responsibilities. And that is a tough place to be in. I'm just wondering if you can share a little bit more how that impacts you.
I guess I just feel like I'm doing everything by myself. It's exhausting, and I just want some help.
Yeah. Mhm. And for you, John, it sounds like hearing this, you feel frustrated because you're interpreting it as nagging, which is quite a strong reaction for you as well. Can you tell me a little bit about what's coming up for you at the moment?
Well, I just feel like no matter what I do, it's never good enough.
Mhm.
So I just stop trying.
Okay. So thank you both for being honest and sharing your feelings. What I'm hearing is a pattern that's becoming quite difficult for you both. On one hand, Sarah, you feel overburdened and unappreciated. And on the other hand, John, you're feeling criticised and then you just disengage. This is a cycle. I think we can work together to try and shift that a little bit. And I would like to be able to focus on both your needs during this session. If that's okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So what I'd like to do now is try expressing how we feel in a different way. I do have a little bit of a template that we can use so that we can express our feelings in a way that I think we can both understand a little bit better. So what I'd like you to do, and I'm happy to repeat this if we don't quite get it the first time. So let's try expressing how this feels using an I statement. So I feel like rather than when you do this, so that we take ownership of our own feelings. So it would be something like I feel, talk about the emotion, when talking about a particular situation that's cropped up for you and the reason why. So first taking ownership for your own feelings. And then you're going to say, and I need after that. And then you're going to talk about a specific request that you have of each other just to help meet your needs. How does that sound? Does that make
Give it a
sense?
go. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So Sarah, are you happy to go first?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, just give me a minute. I feel frustrated when I come home and see the dishes still in the sink because it makes me feel like I'm the only one who cares. I need more support around the house.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's great. I think you really express your feelings without adding too much blame in there. How does it feel to say that?
A little weird, actually, but I think it says it clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, John, how did you feel hearing that?
I think it was a bit easier to hear it that way, but I still feel like I'm being told that I'm not doing enough.
Okay. Well, that makes sense in some ways. It sounds like you're still feeling a little bit criticised, even when it is softened that way. Yeah. So let's try flipping the script a little bit. Can you share how you feel in these moments using the same structure that Sarah just used?
Sure. Well, I guess I feel frustrated when I hear reminders about the chores because it makes me feel like I'm being micromanaged. I do need some space to do things on my own time.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I think that was very clear. So what I'm hearing is that both of you expressed valid feelings. Sarah, you say you need support and some recognition. And John, you say you need some space and some trust. Yeah. Do you see how both these needs can sometimes clash?
Yeah.
Yeah. And often we're looking at it from our own perspective, particularly when there's a lot of emotion that arises, and sometimes emotion can dictate the way we communicate, which then makes things a lot worse, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we've identified one of the issues, particularly around the washing up, and I think it's easier to start from a particular chore rather than looking at all of them all in one. Let's brainstorm a small step that you can both take, which hopefully will have you meet somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So one thing that we could do is agree on a shared chore schedule or specific times to check in about tasks or something like that. Does that feel something that might be doable for you both?
Yeah. Maybe if we agree on who does what each week, I wouldn't feel like I have to keep asking.
Okay, so communicating it up front so there's some clear expectations might help. Yeah. Okay. What do you think, John?
Well, I guess that might work. Like if we set a time to review it, I guess I'd feel less pressure to do it immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to me, that sounds like a good place to start. How does it feel like for you guys as a bit of a plan?
It feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. Yeah.
Okay. Willing. Okay. That's good. So I think that's really good. I think that you've both taken a big step to understand each other's needs and working together to try and break the cycle that we were talking about. Yeah. I do hear a little bit of reluctance in there a little bit, but I think, like you said, it feels a little bit weird. This is the first time you've tried something like this. So I think the willingness to give it a go is a really good place to start from. Yeah. So I think over the next week, we try the plan and see how it feels. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We can adjust it when we meet again as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that
And
sounds
I
good.
think just listening to what you were both saying and how the SUDS was definitely rated quite differently. I know, Sarah, you were a 50 and John, you were a 30. And I'd imagine when you were talking about potentially feeling like she was nagging a bit, it might have brought even more of a 30 up for you in the moment. So I think perhaps when we trial this, and perhaps Sarah, if you do come home and the dishes aren't done, maybe have a little bit of a think and write down exactly the emotion that it did create for you so we can talk about it during the next session. And John, I think, particularly if you know, you haven't done the dishes and you do have a bit of a, I guess, a disagreement again, maybe rating that in the moment as well, because it's easier to know how you feel in the moment than later on, I think. Are you
Sure.
both happy? You're both happy to try that?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. Let's give it a go.
Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, well, that's a good start. All right, I know, as I said, it can feel a little bit weird at times when we sort of put these things into place. And I think particularly when, couples are practicing on smaller disagreements, and sometimes you don't feel like you're getting to some of the bigger issues. But in practicing this is what's going to help you when you're communicating some of the bigger issues that we raised in our first couple of sessions as well. So hopefully this is a strategy to help both of you understand and come together and move forward and learn some skills, I guess, for future disagreements. Yeah, and just remember, perfection isn't the goal here. It's just to get a little bit of a progress. It's just to trial something to see how it goes. It's just learning a different way to approach some of the conflicts you've had in the past. It's learning to take on your emotion as your responsibility as well, so that we're not communicating from a place of that emotion initially. And I think you've done really well today. I think that's been a bit of an achievement. Yeah. So what are your thoughts around that, Sarah?
That sounds really, really good. And I'm just so relieved that we've had this first session and it sounds
Yeah.
like that this is plan and already what we did with the exercise feels better already. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And John?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, I guess, to hear it in a different way. I suppose it feels less like nagging. I guess I can kind of see
Yeah.
where she's coming from, and maybe if I can, maybe just listen a little bit more, and I
Mhm.
can make a bit of a difference here and make her happy again.
Yeah, sure. And what I might also do is just give you a copy of the what we call sentence stems that we used earlier to talk about those I statements and how I felt. And when you add in the situation and then added in the part where you talked about what you need from your partner. So I might give you those sentence stems just so you got those and you can practice them
That
at
would be
home
great.
as well. Yeah, it's a little bit more homework, I know, but I think it might make it easier in the moment if you can kind of walk away, got something there, perhaps even write down what you'd like to say each other and then come back together and practice it. Takes that kind of raw emotion out of it in the moment. Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, great.
Yeah. And then we've got something tangible to come back to, I think, just to review your progress during the week for when we meet in our next session. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So did you still want to meet on a weekly basis?
I think that's the best thing for us to come weekly. John, is that still okay with you?
Yeah, that's what you wanted, and I'll be there. Yep.
Thank
Okay. Okay, so 11 o'clock next Friday.
you. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.